10 songs, all from the 1960s, all legendary. Every one of them made by an artist who never had another hit that mattered. No second act, no meaningful follow-up. Just one moment that somehow outlasted everything else, including the artists themselves. Here's what really happened. Number 10, Wipe Out, the Surfaris, 1963. If you've ever sat behind a drum kit for even 5 minutes, you know this one, because every drummer alive has played this riff, or tried to. Wipe Out by the Surfaris, 1963, peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. But here's the part nobody talks about. That song was never supposed to be anything. It was recorded as a B-side, a throwaway, an afterthought, at a session where the real work was Surfer Joe. The Surfaris just needed something on the other side of the vinyl. So in about 15 minutes, 4 high school kids from Glendora, California, none of them older than 17, wrote and recorded one of the most recognizable drum solos in the history of rock and roll. And then their manager, Dale Smallin, walked up to the microphone and did that witch laugh, just for fun. Nobody thought that part was going to make it. The song went to number 2, held out of the top spot by Stevie Wonder's Fingertips. Not bad for a B-side you wrote in 15 minutes. And here's what gets me about this one. The drummer, Ron Wilson, the kid who played that solo that every drummer still learns today, he never had another hit. The band faded out by the mid-60s. Wilson died in 1989 at just 44, and he never once stopped playing. You've probably tried that drum intro at some point. Maybe you were 12, maybe you were 20. Maybe you heard it in a movie and had to look it up, and maybe you're still not entirely sure what a wipeout actually is. Number 9, Surfin' Bird, the Trashmen, 1963/1964. This one is strange, genuinely, uncommonly strange. Surfin' Bird by the Trashmen peaked at number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in January 1964. And you probably already know it's weird. What you might not know is where it actually came from. The Trashmen were from Minneapolis, not California, Minnesota. A bunch of landlocked kids who drove down to Southern California, fell in love with the surf rock sound, came home, and decided to be a surf band in a place with no surf. And somehow that made them more committed to the bit, not less. The song itself is technically a reconstruction, an accidental one. Drummer Steve Warrer had heard 2 songs by an R&B group called the Rivingtons, Papa Mau Mau and The Bird's the Word, performed by a cover band in Wisconsin. He thought they were originals. So he mashed them together, threw in his own mania in the middle, and that screaming, howling, barely contained chaos you hear is what happened when a drummer tried to reconstruct 2 songs he'd only caught once. The Rivingtons found out. They sued. They won. They got the songwriting credits and the royalties for every movie, TV show, and commercial that has ever used that song, and there have been a lot. Full Metal Jacket, Family Guy, the Ramones covered it, the Cramps. It won a Battle of the Bands contest in Chicago. It sold 1 million copies. I went to everybody's head about the bed. The Trashmen got performance rights and the legend, and the story, which, depending on how you look at it, is either a raw deal or the most honest outcome. Some of y'all heard this song in a very specific place at a very specific moment. You know exactly what I mean. Real talk. Only 9% of you are subscribed. That hurts. We're spending hours digging through archives, fact-checking every detail, bringing these stories back to life. And if you're watching this far, you clearly care. So hit subscribe. It's free and takes 2 seconds. Now, to my subscribers, barely any of you have joined the membership. And honestly, that stings even more. You know the work we put in. You keep coming back. If these videos have ever made you feel something, if this music means something to you, join the membership. It's one coffee a month and it's the only way we keep this going. Let's build this together. All right, back to it. Number 8, Eve of Destruction, Barry Maguire, 1965.
There's no running away, there'll be no one to save.
This one has some weight to it. Maguire didn't write it. P.F. Sloan did, scribbling it out in one sitting, fueled by everything 1965 actually was. Vietnam escalating, Malcolm X dead, civil rights marchers beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Sloan handed Maguire the lyrics on a crumpled piece of paper, and Maguire read them into the microphone once. One take, Tuesday morning. Here's where the story changes. That rough vocal, the unpolished, ragged, not ready for primetime take, leaked to a DJ before the label could clean it up. The DJ started playing it, the phones lit up, and the label looked at each other and realized, the rough take is the take. They never re-recorded it.
I don't believe we're on
The voice you hear on Eve of Destruction is Maguire reading lyrics he barely knew off a crumpled piece of paper in one unrepeatable morning. And that rawness is exactly why it hit number 1.
And marches alone can't bring integration.
The BBC banned it. Stations in Chicago, Washington, Baltimore, and Memphis refused to air it, calling it leftist propaganda, which, if you've ever tried to stop teenagers from doing something, you know how well that worked. And Maguire, that was it. His only top 40 hit as a solo artist. He later appeared in the original Broadway run of Hair. He became a significant figure in contemporary Christian music. But Eve of Destruction was the moment. One raw Tuesday morning where a rough demo of borrowed words changed the sound of protest music forever. If you were alive and paying attention in 1965, you already know what that felt like.
It's like coagulating. I'm sitting here just...
Number 7, Wooly Bully, Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs, 1965. This might be the most underrated story on this entire list. Wooly Bully by Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and then Billboard named it the number 1 song of the entire year of 1965. Number 1 for the year, never number 1 for a single week, the first time in Hot 100 history that had ever happened. Think about what 1965 actually was. The British invasion was eating America alive. The Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, the Who, everything was coming from the other side of the Atlantic. And then Domingo Zamudio, a Texan of Mexican descent who called himself Sam the Sham, wore a turban and a robe on stage and drove a 1952 Packard hearse, walked into Sam Phillips's Memphis studio and recorded a song that sold more copies than any American single since the Beatles landed at Kennedy Airport. 3 chords, 2.5 minutes, a Spanglish countdown in the intro, a saxophone hook, and the most joyful nonsense lyrics since Little Richard. It stayed on the Hot 100 for 18 weeks, longer than anything the British invasion threw at it that year. Now, and I want to be honest with you here, Sam the Sham technically had another major hit in 1966. Lil Red Riding Hood also went to number 2. So whether he's a true one-hit wonder depends on how strict you're being. But honestly, ask anyone. Nobody remembers Lil Red Riding Hood. They remember the turban. They remember the hearse. They remember Sam Zamudio counting in Spanglish while the whole room came alive. And Sam himself eventually became a street preacher in Memphis, which, and I mean this with complete respect, is the most Sam the Sham ending that was ever possible. Number 6, 96 Tears, and the Mysterians, 1966. If this one doesn't give you chills, listen to it again. 96 Tears by B and the Mysterians, October 1966. Number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Here's who made this record. The sons of Mexican migrant farm workers who had settled in Michigan's Saginaw Valley. Teenagers, barely teenagers. Guitarist Bobby Balderrama was 15 when they recorded it. Organist Frank Rodriguez was 14. They cut it in a converted living room studio in Bay City, Michigan, on a Vox Continental organ, cheap, dinky, barely professional, and pressed 500 copies.
For one heart to carry on.
The frontman called himself ? Just that, a question mark. His real name was Rudy Martinez, but Rudy claimed he was born on the planet Mars, never answered to any other name, and reportedly never removed his sunglasses for any reason. Whether that's still true, that's the point. Why 96 Tears? Nobody knows. Here's what the band has said. The original title was 69 Tears. They changed it for radio. What the number actually means. ? Says it has deep philosophical significance. He won't say what. That Vox organ riff spread from Flint to Detroit to the entire country, and when it hit number 1 in October 1966, it was a Mexican-American garage band from a converted living room in Michigan beating the whole music establishment. The Ramones cited it as a direct influence. The Stranglers covered it. Punk historians have called it the first punk record, made a full decade before punk existed.
And when the sun comes up, I'll be on time.
You know what else? The bassist who played with them briefly in 1967 was named Mel Shocker. He left the band not long after. He went on to join Grand Funk Railroad. Some lineups are just full of futures nobody could see yet.
We'll be together.
Number 5, Judy in Disguise, with Glasses, John Fred and his Playboy Band, 1968. This one knocked the Beatles off the top. Judy in Disguise, with Glasses, by John Fred and his Playboy Band, January 1968. Number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. Knocked Hello Goodbye by the Beatles out of the top spot.
Judy in the sky. Well, that's what you are.
Here's where the title came from. John Fred Gourier was a singer from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, a working R&B band leader from down in the swamp, who heard Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds on the radio and misheard it. Lucy in the Sky became Lucy in Disguise, and he thought, wait! So he and bandmate Andrew Bernard sat down and wrote a song about a girl at the beach wearing big sunglasses. They filled in the lyrics with whatever they could rhyme. Lemonade pies, cantaloupe eyes, across your heart with your living bra, which is either inspired or completely unhinged. Possibly both. The thing is, it worked because people were ready for something that played with Beatles-era psychedelic surrealism without actually being the Beatles. And John Fred's version had horns and a groove, a Louisiana R&B swagger that Lucy in the Sky never had.
Judy in the sky. Hey, that's what you are.
He toppled Hello Goodbye. A Louisiana singer with a song based on mishearing another song knocked the actual Beatles off number 1 in January of 1968. John Fred never had another major hit. He went home to Baton Rouge, hosted a local radio show, coached high school baseball and basketball, and kept performing regionally for the rest of his life. He died on April 15, 2005, after complications from a kidney transplant. And somewhere in the books, his name is the answer to the trivia question, who knocked the Beatles off the top in 1968? The answer is a Louisiana singer who misheard a lyric and ran with it. That matters. That's real history. Number 4, Green Tambourine, The Lemon Pipers, 1968. This one has a hidden connection that most people have never connected. Green Tambourine by the Lemon Pipers, number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in February 1968. The band was from Oxford, Ohio, and they spent the rest of their careers insisting they weren't a psychedelic bubblegum novelty act, that they were a legitimate rock band who happened to record one song that got labeled and boxed in and followed that label all the way into obscurity. The follow-up didn't chart. The industry had already decided what they were. The Lemon Pipers broke up in 1969. The song was written and produced by a man named Paul Lecca. He co-wrote it with Shelley Pins, and it went to number 1, and it briefly made the Lemon Pipers famous, and then it collapsed on top of them. But here's what most people have never heard. Stay with me on this, because the year after Green Tambourine, Paul Lecca walked back into a recording studio, this time at Mercury Records, to help an old friend named Gary DiCarlo cut some solo singles.
Watch the jingle jangle start to shine.
They needed a B-side, fast, and Lecca sat at the piano and pulled out an unfinished song he and DiCarlo and their old bandmate Dale Frashuer had first sketched out nearly a decade earlier when they were all in a doo-wop group together. That B-side was Na Na Hey Hey Kiss Him Goodbye. My green tam. The same man who wrote and produced Green Tambourine, the number 1 song that launched the Lemon Pipers and then trapped them, also co-wrote and produced number 2 on this list, accidentally, in one session, as a throwaway. You cannot write this. You really cannot write this. And the Lemon Pipers? Gone before 1970. The only band whose own producer accidentally outdid them with a song nobody even wanted to release. My green. Number 3, Fire, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, 1968. If you were paying attention in 1968, you know what's coming. Fire, by The Crazy World of Arthur Brown. Number 1 in the United Kingdom, number 2 in the United States, held out of the top spot by Hey Jude by the Beatles, 1968. Arthur Brown walked on stage wearing theatrical face paint at a time when nobody walked on stage wearing theatrical face paint. He performed wearing a helmet that was literally on fire. He appeared at shows with burning objects on his head. You're gonna burn. In Italy, the authorities deported him for it. And before any of that, before Alice Cooper, before Kiss, before Ozzy Osbourne, there was Arthur Brown screaming, "I am the god of hellfire," into a microphone and meaning every syllable. You've been living like a little girl. Here's what the recording actually is. No guitar, no bass guitar at all. Just Vincent Crane's Hammond organ, a brass orchestral arrangement, and Brown's 4-octave voice, produced by Kit Lambert, The Who's manager, with Pete Townsend as associate producer. The drummer who toured with them briefly afterward was Carl Palmer, who went on to form Emerson, Lake and Palmer. They were surrounded by serious talent at every turn. And here's the fact most people never connect. Before the crazy world existed, Arthur Brown had briefly played in a band that later evolved into the Foundations, the same Foundations who recorded Build Me Up Buttercup.
You're gonna burn!
The God of Hellfire and the song about unrequited sweetness share a lineage. The band never had another chart entry. They broke up in 1969. Their follow-up album, funded by a £650,000 advance off the back of Fire, was shelved by the label, deemed uncommercial, and sat unreleased for nearly 20 years. It didn't surface until 1988.
I'll feel you burn!
That's a specific kind of loss, being loud enough to change what a rock frontman could look like, and then being shelved before anyone else could hear the rest. Number 2, Na Na Hey Hey, Kiss Him Goodbye, Steam, 1969. The band that made this record, Steam, did not exist. Na Na Hey Hey, Kiss Him Goodbye, December 1969. Number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 2 weeks. It knocked Come Together by the Beatles off the top. You've heard it at every sporting event of your life. But here's what actually happened. Paul Lecca, yes, the same Paul Lecca who co-wrote Green Tambourine, number 4 on this list, was working at Mercury Records in 1969, producing sessions for his old friend Gary DiCarlo. They needed a B-side that night, so Lecca sat at the piano and pulled out an unfinished song he and DiCarlo and their old bandmate Dale Frashuer had sketched in 1961, nearly a decade earlier, when they were all in a doo-wop group together.
When all those sad tears are.
They finished it that session, and when Lecca needed a chorus to make the song longer, he literally improvised na 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 because he didn't have any other words. DiCarlo added, hey hey, they left it in. Mercury heard it and wanted to release it as the A-side. DiCarlo was furious. He called it embarrassing. He refused to put his name on it. So Mercury released it under the name Steam, a band that had never existed, and sent out a group of session musicians to tour and lip-sync to DiCarlo's voice on television. It sold 6.5 million copies. DiCarlo spent years watching a fictitious band perform his voice on national television while his own records went nowhere. He resented it deeply. He resented Paul Lecca. He resented the whole arrangement until he died of lung cancer in June of 2017. And in 1977, a White Sox organist named Nancy Faust started playing it at Comiskey Park whenever the opposing team's pitcher got pulled. The crowd started singing, it caught on, and now every stadium in America knows it as a goodbye, a song the lead singer hated, a band that never existed, a chorus that was never supposed to be words. Number 1, in the year 2525, Zager and Evans, 1969.
Husband won't need no wife. You pick your son,
For a long time, these were the only two people in music history to hit number 1 in both the United States and the United Kingdom, and then never have another charting single in either country, not one.
I'm kinda wondering if man is gonna be alive.
In the year 2525 by Zager and Evans, number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 6 weeks, starting July 12, 1969. Number 1 in the UK, number 1 in Canada, Ireland, and New Zealand. Billboard's Record of the Year for 1969.
He ought to make it by then. Maybe he'll look around him.
Denny Zager and Rick Evans met at Nebraska Wesleyan University in 1962. They were a folk duo from Lincoln, Nebraska, nobody's first pick for the biggest song of the summer of 1969. Evans wrote the lyrics in 1964. He said he wrote them in 10 minutes, in the back of a Volkswagen van. After a night of parties and what he described diplomatically as a lot of Mary Jane,
In the year 95,
the song traces the next 7,000 years of human civilization in increments: 25-25, 35-35, 45-45, watching technology gradually make every human function obsolete: teeth, eyes, arms, legs, children, the capacity to think, the capacity to feel, until there's nothing left.
self and say, guess it's time for the judgment day.
They pressed it on a tiny local label called Truth Records for $500 borrowed dollars. They mailed copies to every major label in the country. RCA picked it up, and within weeks it was the #1 song in America. It hit the top of the U.S. chart on July 12, 1969.
The year 7510, if God's a-comin'.
8 days later, Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon. The song about machines making humanity irrelevant was the #1 record in the country on the day humanity did the most human thing in its entire history.
Ain't gonna need your teeth, won't need your eyes.
Their follow-up single was called Mr. Turnkey. It told the story of a man who nails his own wrist to a jail cell wall to atone for a crime. It did not chart. They released 2 more albums. Nobody bought them. The duo split in 1971. Zager still builds custom guitars in Lincoln, Nebraska. Evans moved to Santa Fe, stepped away from music entirely, and died in February of 2018.
Gonna look at you in the year.
And here's what I keep coming back to. In a year with the Beatles and the Stones and Creedence and Marvin Gaye and Led Zeppelin, a Nebraska folk duo with one song about the end of everything was the biggest record of the entire year. And if you're sitting there right now thinking about what that song was warning about and looking at where we actually are, I think you know exactly why it still lands.
You won't find a thing to chew. Nobody